Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 58. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. If you guys have any questions you would like to ask us, feel free to leave it in the comment section in YouTube or leave a voice message at the Anchor link. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming news and some anime stuff, including the new Ninja Turtles game and Sony buying Evo. Then we'll get into our recent activities, which includes some games and a lot of anime from me. Then next we're going to talk about the new Life is Strange game, Life is Strange True Colors announced. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1. So first thing is the new Ninja Turtles game that sort of just got announced randomly. This is in the style of the arcade games, and it looks really good. As a Ninja Turtles fan myself, I am very much excited for this.
Yeah, this came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nickelodeon was just like, "Yo, check this out," and I didn't really think anything of it at first because the trailer is mostly just here's a cool animated thing, which is
Mm-hmm.
animated in the 80s style. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I show the gameplay. I'm like, oh, whoa, this actually looks really good. It's 16-bit, really great pixel art. It looks like Turtles in Time.
Mm-hmm.
4 players. I believe it's online. I think. I don't know if they
Yes.
said
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, yeah, 4 player online. And it just looks really good. It's been a while since the actual TMT beat 'em up came out. Like the last one I remember was the remake of Turtles in Time on the Xbox
Mm-hmm.
Live Arcade, and that got pulled.
Yep.
So that was the last one. I liked that remake, by the way. I know everyone hated it. I thought it was alright.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always down for more beat 'em ups. It seems like the beat 'em up genre has really seen a resurgence with Street of Rage 4 and then Scott Pilgrim coming back and now this. So I'm always down for this since I really like Turtles in Time. I really like these arcade games, and the fact that it's multiplayer and online is gonna be fantastic. So.
Yeah, as a huge Ninja Turtles fan myself, I grew up with the 2003 show, and I followed a little bit of the 2012 TV show, which was pretty good, honestly, from what I watched of season 1, some of season 2. I know that show, overall, people really do like that show, old fans and new ones. And the newest one that they got going on, I haven't watched any of it yet. It's a little weird. They made Raph the leader because he's the most popular turtle, which I'm all right, I guess. But anyways, going back to this game, I'm very, very excited for this, just because, like you said, the last time we had a sort of multiplayer beat 'em up with the Turtles was with the reshelled Turtles 4. And that remake, it had a lot of mixed opinions. A lot of people really disliked it in terms of how it was handled and stuff. But me personally, I didn't have a huge problem with it, from what I can remember, obviously, because it's been years since I played it.
Yeah.
But this one, it looks very, very promising. I can say that much just because of how the game looks, the sprite art, the fact that they knew that, with the current state of the world and how people like to play games these days, online is definitely super duper important. If this was local, I think that a lot of people would not buy this game, but because it is online, a lot of people are probably gonna check this out, buy it, even if they're not Ninja Turtles fans. If you played any of the classic NES or Super Nintendo Ninja Turtles games, you know how much fun these beat 'em up games can be, especially Turtles 4 on the SNES, which that game's kind of expensive, but there are emulators and stuff like that for you to try out and play. But yeah, I remember playing that game in particular. I think it was only up to 2 players because that's just how the SNES was. I remember playing that at MagFest with one of our friends, Louis, and I have the game at my house, but playing it there and just doing the 2 players was just super, super fun. And the fact that this is going to be a brand new game, brand new experience, 16-bit graphics, it looks great presentation wise and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely whenever this game gets released, I'm going to be buying this shit on day one. So, and it's going to be it's going to be available on PC and consoles, so that is going to be very, very exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, basically everything you said, it just looks fantastic. I'm always down for more beat 'em ups. And yeah, it just looks great. It came out of nowhere, but I'm happy it's happening. So, and
Hmm.
again, the online is going to be a huge component. Local multiplayer is always a good thing, but I think more people should be implementing online at this point. Yeah,
Hmm.
even without the pandemic happening, it just seems like, come on,
Yeah. Hmm.
just put online and everything now. It just seems like the natural course of things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So our next piece of news here, the Demon Slayer movie, the Mugen Train or Mugen Train, however you say it,
Yep.
is going to be coming to theaters April 23rd, and it's going to be digital on June 22nd. So yeah, you can get your tickets if you want to die on April 9th. For sub and dub, it's happening for both. And it's going to be coming digitally on June 22nd for like almost everything. So like Apple TV, the Microsoft Store, Vudu, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay, yeah, Google Play, PlayStation Store, and Amazon. You can pre-order digitally on April 26th on Apple TV, Microsoft Store, and the PlayStation Store. So this is great. Obviously, in theaters. Like I'm obviously like look, I would love to watch this in theaters. Right? Like I watched the two My Hero movies in theaters. It was a great experience. But I'm not gonna like kill myself over Demon Slayer. I think a vast majority of us aren't vaccinated. At least I'm not.
Yeah.
If you are, maybe go ahead if you feel that comfortable about it. But I just don't think it's worth the risk at the moment. And I wish they made I wish it was like May. We could have just watched it digitally at this point, or just make it at the same time. Like, they have to like know it's a freaking pandemic going on. I'm not gonna go in theaters to watch Demon Slayer, but I'm happy that it is coming digitally. Like, not too soon, but it's still coming at the end of June. And as long as it comes out before the second season, then I'm okay with that. It also depends on how pricey it is. Like I don't know how much is gonna be like the movie if you want to buy it digitally. That's also gonna be a pretty big deal when that actually happens. I'm sure you're gonna see it on like our anime or whatever, where everyone's just getting angry about it. But yeah, it's nice that it's finally coming out here. I think it's been like a year since it came out in Japan, so it's nice that we could finally freaking watch this thing. But yeah, it going on theaters is still kind of annoying. But what you're gonna do.
Yeah, they want to, allow those people that are willing to take the risk or are vaccinated to sort of go in theaters and watch the movie, which, like that's all fine and dandy. Me personally, I'm not going to take that risk either just because, I got school going on, I got work. I don't want to, try to mesh this into my schedule, especially since I believe it is only one day or one weekend or whatever that they're going to be giving this a release, because that's just how, the anime movies are.
Yeah.
So I don't see them, doing this for like the entire month of April. And even then, like, because they're doing this for one weekend, I feel like that they probably could have pushed the digital release a lot sooner, like you said, May, or even, not late June, pretty much is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to go see it, tickets go on sale April 9th for subbed and dubbed, which is very important for some people because, they want to watch this dubbed because that's just how they watch Demon Slayer. And personally, the dub, I don't have a problem with it. It's just me personally. I prefer the sub voices and all that stuff. But yeah, and depending on how much it is, I would be very surprised if it's more than $19.99. I'm going to be honest. And, $19.99 I think is the sweet spot for most anime fans, especially since I feel like most people in the industry know that a lot of people who watch anime don't watch it legally. So,
Yeah.
I feel like pricing it more than that would definitely be very ballsy. Like $24.99, that's kind of ballsy in my opinion. But I think $19.99 is definitely like the sweet spot where most people are willing to, put the money down and just watch it, to not have to go through these various links and various websites to watch this movie, because from reading the manga, I know exactly what happens in this movie, but people who have seen the movie, they say that it is visually beautiful. If you think you were very taken aback by that one Demon Slayer episode, I think it was episode 19 or whatever, like you will be blown away by this movie, which I cannot wait to see it at the comfort of my own home on the PlayStation Store or Amazon or wherever I decide to purchase this movie. But yeah, it is definitely very weird in my opinion that they would release it in theaters late April and then just wait till late June to release it digitally for everyone else. So
Yeah, it honestly seems like really lame. Because because they also did it with the My Hero movies, right? Where it was like only like a weekend you could watch it. Actually, I think the second My Hero movie they made it like a little longer. At least over here, they made it a little longer. When you could watch it. But yeah, it should have been like May or something. I feel like the gap is like really large for no reason. Probably just so people could watch it. Like they want people to watch it in theaters. So, but like stop it. Like I don't want to. But yeah, it's also cool that it's doing the sub and dub thing because big animes like this. Like My Hero, Attack on Titan, a lot of people watch it dub because it's like like I don't want to say normie, but it's like a lot of people watch these animes, so like it makes sense they would do it at the same time. So that's also nice. But yeah, basically it just comes back to I'm not gonna kill myself to watch this. I will also watch it digitally, and I'm very excited to watch it since I really enjoy Demon Slayer as well, and I can't wait to see the story continue and how they can use that movie budget, I guess, to have like basically like a whole episode 19 in like one movie. I think that would be pretty neat. So.
hmm Yeah. All right. So the next piece of news is that there are new PlayStation VR controllers. I believe these are called the PSVR 2. But these
Yeah.
controllers are not the PlayStation Move controllers because I guess Sony was like, we gotta make something else for these, people that are actually using VR and maybe give people a incentive to buy their VR. So in my opinion, I think when it comes to VR, it's still like very new, obviously. But if you're gonna get into VR and you want to sort of like dummy proof it and like just buy the stuff to have it like guaranteed work, like the PlayStation VR is like a no-brainer because you just have to buy the console, whether it's the PS4 or the PS5, and then you just get the VR stuff. But obviously, it's not going to be as expensive as you would if you needed to like upgrade your PC and then buy the VR also. So I think that PlayStation VR is definitely like a very nice gateway to those that want to get into VR. As from like an outsider perspective, like what do you think?
I feel the same exact way. Like I think this and like other like lower cost VR headsets, like I think it was like not the Quest, I forget which one. It's like the one for the phones and stuff. Like I like those type of headsets are like that's a good way to get your feet wet with VR and see if you actually like it or if it makes you sick. I think that's a very important thing. Since
hmm
again with like things like the Vive and like the Oculus and stuff. You need like a good, yeah, again, you need a really good PC and you need a lot of space and you need to buy the headset itself. That's a big investment. Like, I think you need at least like $1,000+ PC plus the $1,000+ for the headset. It's a lot. Well,
hmm
you could just get the headset and a PS5 for probably just 1,000. Not instead of spending like
Yeah.
2,000 for everything. So yeah, I definitely think it's a good gateway for VR. I know some people dunk on this because they're you're gonna play VR in the console. Ho ho. But, I think it's okay if people want to like dip their toes into VR like this. Personally, like I'm not crazy about VR. Like I'm not like in a rush to like get it.
hmm
So and if I would get it, it probably would be on PC. But if you're a more casual person and just wants to experience it, then yeah, I think having PlayStation VR would probably be a good gateway for that. And in terms of the controllers, I think they look fine. I mean, most VR controllers are going to look a little weird just because they have to like you're in VR. We don't have any like standardization for like a VR controller, right? Like every time you see like a VR headset, the controller looks like really weird, and that's because you have to like fit it for how VR would work. Again, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just know all the VR controllers look really weird.
hmm Yeah. And these controllers, I think that they look fine for what they are. I think that they're definitely a lot better than the PlayStation Move stuff
Yeah.
because the PlayStation Move controllers are pretty, old. They came out
Yeah, they're
around when
really old.
they came out around I think like 2010, something like that.
Yeah,
When
2009 or something. Yeah.
yeah, probably 2009. When like PlayStation was trying to, get the Wii owners to come to PlayStation, but obviously that didn't work. And they were trying to sort of have, because they obviously noticed that like motion controls were like a thing, so they were like, let's, keep this going. But obviously that didn't work. But I feel like with these controllers, they're a lot more streamlined. They are actually used for VR instead of like, just like hand me down the PlayStation Move controllers are actually, these are actual controllers made for VR specifically, which is very good. And I think that the way they look fine. There's haptic feedback. There's adaptive triggers, pretty much a PlayStation 5 controller, but within like two controllers for VR, which is nice. And I think that to anyone that has a PlayStation VR or is looking to get into VR with the PlayStation 5, I think that you're probably somewhat content or even happy with how these controllers look.
Yeah, basically, like, again, I'm just happy they are moving from the PlayStation Move because I think the Move controllers just look dumb. I think
Yeah.
that it's pretty outdated technology at this point. So having something that's a little more sophisticated for VR would probably be a good idea.
hmm
Since like the first PSVR kind of felt more like a prototype, like yeah, we could do this, but the PS4 was like so weak that I don't think it was really using its full potential. Now with the PS5 is a lot stronger, so obviously you could do a better VR experience, and it seems like Sony wants to like really up their uh what you call it, the budget on like VR and stuff, and it looks like they want to push it more towards the mainstream. So we're just gonna wait and see for that stuff. I think it's pretty exciting if we could get VR to be a little more mainstream, but I guess we're gonna have to wait and see if people actually want to bother with that type of stuff.
I think once it becomes more affordable, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. It's definitely like gonna afford like how much money you're willing to spend for this. If we really are gonna integrate this into like a regular gaming experience, just because it's not as like it's not as easy as just picking up a controller, right? Yeah, like put the headset, you gotta do a bunch of stuff. So it's like accessibility and affordability are like the two big things really pushing VR back from being like this major thing in gaming. So yeah, as technology grows and if people still care about it, we'll probably see it integrated more and more into mainstream gaming and stuff. So, but in other news, no, I don't know how to segue this, but this is right off the presses. Gotham Knights has been delayed to 2022, so that's pretty sad. I don't really know why. Probably like Corona,
Yeah.
like everything else. I actually didn't read their statement.
Yeah,
It's basically just the normal, just like, oh, we're gonna deliver the best experience possible, and we're not launching this year. I'm like, okay. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that delays in general, for the past 2 years are kind of expected. It is what it is, just because of how the current state of the world is. And I think that after Cyberpunk 2077, I think people should be a little bit more happy with delays. I mean, like the fucking top comment here is from Nate. He says, "You got to be fucking kidding me." And then the guy below, Bob, he's like, there was a pandemic, Nate, which, obviously that guy got ratioed. That said, you got to be fucking kidding me. But yeah, I think that delays in general are fine, especially with, the most recent AAA game that was launch, and especially with the last big Batman game, which was Arkham Knight. Like that game came out and it was super buggy on both console and PC, as far as I can remember. They were able to fix it on console, I believe, but the PC version is like completely broken.
Garbage,
yeah. So, which is crazy because they were like, well, this is the top Batman game. This is the last one that Rocksteady's making. We got the Batmobile and everything, and it ended up being kind of disappointing for me personally. That really enjoyed the Batman Arkham games in general. Really enjoyed Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight came out, and I was just like, ooh, this one's not that great, unfortunately. And guys, the Arkham Knight is not this character, but it actually was this character, so I'm not gonna spoil it, just in case if anyone still wants to play that game. But yeah, Gotham Knights, I think that them taking their time, especially with how they're taking the direction for this game as like a sort of open world action RPG with, taking elements from like the most recent Assassin's Creed games with like the leveling up and all of that stuff. And obviously multiplayer is a factor in this. So they want to make sure that they are giving the amazing fans, thank you for the tremendous support and the best possible experience for players, as they said in their statement. So.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to what you say about delaying, like, I think delaying can be a good thing, but also with Cyberpunk, you gotta remember that they also delayed that game like a bunch of times, but it's still a train wreck. Like, I think like most of the time it just depends on just like project management and stuff. Like, I think a delay is okay, that is good. I think a delay and like the company really saying like this is what we meant. Like Nintendo with Metroid Prime 4, right? They straight up said this is trash. We're gonna like redo it. So yeah, they were pretty upfront about it. And I think yeah, like a single delay or even another delay after that is pretty okay. But I feel like after that point, if it keeps getting delayed or not, like is just not being talked about, I think that's signs of it being in like sort of development hell and like something is going wrong. So yeah, I think with delays, I think it's definitely like you have to look at it a little less black and white and more like, okay, they delayed it once, that's fine. Twice, okay. But after that, I feel like it's just like that's a little worrisome. I'm not saying it's gonna happen with this game, but that's just like, especially nowadays, that's just how I see delays now. Because I've seen like a lot of games that have been delayed and kind of just suck anyway. So and again, Cyberpunk is being the major example because that game also got delayed a bunch, and it still ended up not being great just because it just had a bunch of other problems with it. But yeah, again, not saying that's gonna happen to this game, but it's definitely a interesting thing to keep in mind if if we keep hearing worrying stuff about Gotham Knights, especially because it's so different from all the other games they've made. Since with all the leveling up and like the multiplayer, it could easily turn out to be kind of not bad, but not as good as the other games. So we're just gonna wait and see how this game turns out, since it's something very different from Rocksteady, right? So.
Yeah.
Right, Rocksteady's making this? Yeah.
No. I think
No,
what's it called? Something Montreal or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's it called? Rocksteady's making that Suicide Squad game.
Oh, right. See, I always
Yeah.
get confused, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
different from all the other like Batman games that have come out in the past few years. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
definitely. Then we got Sony bought Evo. So that was very surprising news.
Yeah, this came
Um,
out of nowhere also.
this broke yesterday where Sony was just like, yeah, we bought Evo. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, what instantly people thought about was is
Smash.
Smash. Yep, Smash Brothers, because, it wasn't at Evo last year, because I'm sure the people at Evo knew that fucking Smash Online is trash. So with this year, it's probably going to be no different. But when Evo does come back to, the venues and all of this other stuff, people are wondering if Nintendo is going to allow PlayStation's Evo now pretty much be there. And the statement that I believe Hungrybox tweeted out, I'm not sure where he got this statement from. So, but pretty much Nintendo has enjoyed engaging with fans at past Evo tournaments and wish the show organizers the best with their new venture. We will continue to assess Evo and other opportunities as we plan for future online and offline Smash Bros. Tournament activities, a spokesman for Nintendo said. So, that was very much a PR answer where they're pretty much giving a non-answer. They haven't had a solid stance yet, but this could also mean that Nintendo might be making their own tournaments themselves. Who knows? But all I know is that, Smash and Evo have had a very interesting relationship throughout the years, and definitely the most recent one with Evo Online and all of that other stuff, and Evo Online getting canceled after that because of allegations. But we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, Sony buying Evo, it's definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of questions that are gonna get brought up. Like it's kind of nice that I mean it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Like it's nice that we're
Mm-hmm.
having like probably they're gonna like really structured Evo to be a little more professional. Because obviously with the things that happened with Evo, with the whole allegations and stuff, I think that ended up being true. So I wasn't paying too much. There was a lot going on
Yeah.
when that was going on. So I was kind of lost in the sauce in that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna be nice to have it a little more, I guess, professional and like structured, but it also kind of takes away more of the like it's like more of a corporate thing. Like maybe we might see more Sony advertising. Like maybe you'll see more like PlayStation only fighters in there. Like I know Street Fighter 5 is only on PlayStation still and PC, but like on
Mm-hmm.
console wise, it's only on like PlayStation consoles. Like same thing with Guilty Gear Strive, right? Like that might get more of a spotlight because it's also only on PlayStation consoles plus PC, I think. So,
Mm-hmm.
but will Nintendo be okay with it? I think Nintendo would probably be okay with it. I think it's pretty good advertising for Smash to be on
Mm-hmm.
Evo. Especially because it's like probably one of the bigger events, right? I think it is the biggest event usually is Smash and Evo.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think they like no one really wants it to go away, and I think it's definitely going to stay. Obviously last time with with all the other problems with Evo, it not being there because the online makes sense because yeah, the online is bad. But I think once they go back in person, I definitely think Smash will still be there. I don't see any reason why no one would want it, like especially even Nintendo. Like I think it's just free advertising. For Sony, it gets numbers. Everyone likes it. I don't think it's gonna go away. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a little more corporate now, and we might see more like Sony advertisements. But
Mm-hmm.
I think hopefully that might be it. Hopefully it's a good thing. But again, it's hard to say right now because this just happened. So we're gonna have to wait until the next like big Evo, which I don't think is going to be this year either. It might be the year after,
Yeah.
because the pandemic's obviously still a thing. So yeah, we probably won't see the effects of this till next year. But it's definitely something to either be worried about or not be worried about. It's kind of hard to say at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that structure and definitely funding. I think that that's
Yeah,
like a
funding as
big
well.
thing. Like it for like the fighting games that are on PlayStation, they're probably gonna just get some PlayStation 5s and just put them on there, and they don't have to worry about getting consoles or whatever the situation was before when Evo wasn't owned by like a big company like this. So there's definitely gonna be more funding and there's definitely gonna be, like you said, structure. So I think that overall, like, this is a good thing, but it is definitely a little wary when like a big corporate company buys a smaller sort of property or whatever. So there is that concern there, but I'm eager to see what happens in this next chapter of Evo, especially when we get back to in person, which will hopefully be next year. So
Yep. Yeah, we just gotta wait and see because I don't really know what this would mean for Evo. We just
hmm
gotta see.
All right, so let's get into our recent activities. I'll let you go first because you're, gaming stuff, I believe, and I'm just all
Yeah.
anime. So,
Well, I mean, it's kind of like half anime for me. So I
hmm
beat 13 Sentinels. So this was the game I was talking about before. It was like basically like a visual novel with like some like tactical RPG elements in it, and it was really good. I want to finish it last podcast, but Persona kind of took all my time.
hmm
Um, but yeah, basically everything I said before, the story is fantastic, and that's basically what you're playing it for. I think the tactical RPG stuff is mostly just there for like just like fun, because like the game took me it's a long game. The game took me like 30 hours to beat, and I'll say maybe like 7 of those hours were actual battles, and the rest of it was like the story segments. And I mean, again, that's what you're playing it for. And I think the game structures itself really well, where you can like take nice breaks in between like the different story segments. Since again, the game is broken up to 13 different characters, and each character every time you play through a story segment is sort of like acts like an episode basically that lasts maybe like 20-30 minutes. So it's a pretty nice like sort of structure as like you just basically play like an anime since there's also like auto talking, everything is voice acted, you can just watch it. So it basically felt like I was just binging an anime, which was really nice. And again, like I said before, it really hooked you if it's more like mecha slash like kaiju fighting stuff. But that's basically not what the story is about. There's a bunch of like awesome like sci-fi stuff going on, like a lot of questions to be asked. The story is really confusing at first, and it could throw some people off. But I think if you give it like about like an hour or two, things will start to make more sense as you piece together what's going on. And I feel that was the my favorite part of the game was really figuring out like what's going on. And but right when you think you have everything figured out, it throws something at you that totally throws it off. And I love that. That's why I love like things like Attack on Titan or ReZero and stuff because always like oh well, how about this or that or like there's a lot of like foreshadowing and stuff. I just love that stuff and obviously mecha and sci-fi I also just enjoy that a lot as well. I think all the voice acting was great. I mean I played on dub and I thought it was really good. You can also play it sub, but it's a lot of dialogue if you're gonna do that. So I might just have it like voice acted at that point. Art is fantastic. The game looks really beautiful. I don't know who drew it, but it looks super nice. And again, I think if you're in for a nice visual novel that's well I guess a sci-fi visual novel, I definitely think this is for you. If you're into like mecha and stuff, I think it's also for you. But less for the gameplay. Again, if you're playing this hoping for like a good like RPG or something, I wouldn't really recommend it for that since I feel like that's more of a nice side bonus thing. This is definitely more for the story and stuff. And you can just think of it as like I guess playing like an anime. I guess that's the best way I could describe it. But definitely worth your time. I'm really sad this didn't get like what you call won the best narrative of 2020 since it was on that list. I didn't know what it was until like now, and I kind of wish I gave it more recognition because it definitely would have been I think my top five for 2020. It was very good. I highly enjoyed it. Enjoyed the game, and it's usually on sale too. So if it interests you, then I would definitely recommend it. It is very good. Next is Bravely Default 2. I haven't played as much of this as I wanted it to, just because I was busy with school and stuff. So I only have about 6 hours into it. But basically, it's Bravely Default. Basically, it's a really classic turn-based RPG. Got 4 party members, and it's turn-based, like nothing too crazy. But you have the Brave and the Default system, basically meaning you could press R to like basically do like 4 attacks in one turn, but that would sort of like expend your BP or Brave points. And you could get those Brave points by defaulting, and defaulting just means you block. So if you keep blocking in a row, you like accumulate these BP points, and you can like spend them all to do like 4 attacks in a row for free. Or you could do like a deficit, and if you have 0 BP and you like use Brave like 3 times, you can't move for 3 turns, but you could like also wipe someone out in like the first turn. So I've always enjoyed this system. It was also in Octopath Traveler. They also did something similar to that. And yeah, I think the reason why you play Bravely Default is if you want a nice classic turn-based RPG that's more akin to the 16-bit Final Fantasy games, since it also has the job system, which I've already said that I freaking love. And that's the reason why I love Final Fantasy 5 so much, because there's so much nuance to what classes you could pick and like what combination of like job abilities you want and different jobs, and it just gets my juices flowing. I get my brain juices flowing. I could like, all right, this could do this could do that. So just for an example, any class you level up could use whatever ability for any other class. So if you level up like a white mage, and they have an ability that's like, oh, if you attack someone, you get HP back, and like that's pretty garbage for like a mage. You're never gonna use like the attack command because you're gonna use like magic, right? Well, you could level up a white mage to that point, get that ability, change yourself to a monk, put that on the monk, and then when you attack, you get HP back, and like that's big brain. Now because you're gonna attack a lot as a monk, so you can use that ability. Obviously, it's gonna be like a lot of grinding if you want to do that, but that's kind of what you're getting yourself into. Like this game is not gonna change your mind if you like RPGs or not, like or JRPGs, just to say. Like I would say something like Persona 5 or like Final Fantasy VII Remake will probably do that. This game is definitely like if you want to play a classic turn-based RPG, here you go. This is for you, and I love that. And just like Bravely Default 1, I think the story is kind of just like whatever. Like this is one of the few RPGs you just don't play with the story. It's just very generic. Here's 4 heroes of light. Go find the crystals. Have fun. It's like yeah, okay, whatever. Like you mostly are in it for like the deep gameplay and like all the deep character customization. Like that's why I love it, and it's super addicting just like the first game. And I know this game doesn't do the dumb bull crap like in the first game where you have to like beat all the bosses like 4 times like in a row or whatever. That's the reason why I stopped playing the first game. I don't think this game does that. It's just a lot better of an experience. You know, if you haven't played Bravely Default 1, you know, you don't have to play that game. The game goes like the typical JRPG route where, you know, the sequels don't really connect to each other. You might get like a little Easter egg or whatever, but it's mostly just like its own standalone thing. So I definitely think it's worth it if you're into that stuff. If you're not, I'll say stay away because it's not going to change your mind at all. But I am loving it, and I can't wait to play more of it. And really, the last thing I've been playing is Binding of Isaac, which might sound random, but Repentance, the new DLC for Isaac, actually comes out at the end of this month, and I'm very excited for that. And I kind of want to get my rust off of Isaac because I haven't played it in quite a bit. And I also haven't completed like any of the Afterbirth Plus stuff. So Afterbirth Plus was the last expansion that came out, and that was 2017, I believe, and I only did a few things in it, but I wasn't really like. I was like kind of burnt out of Isaac at that point. I was playing a lot of the roguelites, so I'm like, okay, I'll do all this stuff later, and I didn't. So I'm doing it now. So I unlocked. I didn't even know there was another character called the Forgotten. I just got on him. He's pretty fun. He's like a melee character, and you can like switch between like his self and like a ghost form. That is a pretty interesting character, and I like characters that aren't like just like hard characters. So what I mean by that is there's the Lost. And basically you can't get hit or you die. That's not fun. Like it's mostly just there for a challenge. There's also the Keeper who only has like I think 2 heart containers, but you can only heal yourself with coins, which also isn't as fun. So I'm glad they make more characters that are just like, hey, this is just a fun different character, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, Isaac is still Isaac, and I love it. Not much else to say about that besides, you know, I think after playing so many other roguelites, I'm pretty interested to see, like, is Isaac still as good as I remember? Is it still, like, my number 1 roguelite? And I think it still is. I think Isaac still does things, like, so many things so well. You know, the amount of items there are, you know, how many different floors there are. There's just so many different synergies between items. I think Isaac is still, like, number 1 even after all these years, which is a pretty interesting thing to think about since I played so many good roguelites over the years. But, yeah, I think Isaac still remains at the top, and hopefully Repentance makes it even better. So, yeah, I'm very excited for that to drop at the end of the month, and that's all I've been doing, really.
All right, so I've been watching anime and reading 1 manga. So Wonder Egg Priority, I've been slowly watching it and just kind of catching up on it. I believe next week is the final episode, so by next episode I will probably have a full, I guess, review on it. But so far, you know, it is still like a very weird, beautiful animated anime. You know, like I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I kind of know what's going on, but like it's weird, and I like that, obviously, and the way that it's drawn, the way the characters are, the way they interact, the world that they are building. Like I really am fascinated by this anime, and it's very, very weird, but yeah, I am so far liking it. I believe, let me check which episode I'm on. I am only on episode 6. I think I started episode 7, but I didn't finish it. But yeah, you know, there are only 12 episodes. So next thing I watched was Jujutsu Kaisen. Obviously that is the weekly anime that I'm watching, because, you know, Attack on Titan kind of skipped out last week. So,
yeah.
But you know, that is the other shonen that people are watching every Friday. I'm only 1 episode behind, so that means today I have to watch 2 episodes. But you know, the last episode was pretty hype, and I am very much looking forward to how this season's going to end, because I believe we only have a couple more episodes left, which, you know, when I told our friends that there's only like 1 episode left after this upcoming Sunday for Attack on Titan, they were like, wait, what? So they're probably going to do a part 2 for the final season. But
yeah.
Anyways, Promised Neverland season 2. This one I kind of just like was like, is it really like as bad as people say it is? Because I love Promise Neverland season one, so I have a Hulu subscription, so I might as well watch it and sort of form my own opinion on it. I can see where they skipped the two arcs. I can see where they sort of jumped around and made the anime like it kind of its own thing in a way, which is very interesting to say because most of the time when I was watching it, at first I was like, man, like when is like the skip gonna happen? Like when are they going to sort of jump around? And when it did happen, I was like, oh okay, like now, all right, so now like what is this story gonna be about? And there's only one episode left. There's only 11 episodes for this season, which is kind of weird, because last one was 12. But yeah, it is very good. I honestly very much like it, and I think that a lot of people that hate it or are pretty much turned off by it is because of the fact that word spread around that they did skip stuff from the manga, especially two arcs that people loved from the manga. So that is understandable, but as a anime only watcher, I like it. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the final episode in episode 11 is gonna fare out, but just me watching from, I believe it was like episode 3 to 4 or something like that was when I stopped up until episode 10. Like I'm very much liking Promise Neverland season 2. So yeah, I mean, like before I was like, I'm not gonna read the manga because they're just gonna adapt it into the anime, and then they skipped shit. So now I guess I have to read the manga either way. But yeah, it is, like I said, interesting that they decided to do that, especially because the two arcs that they did skip, people love. But yeah, I mean, as a anime only watcher, like I said, season 2 is not as bad as people say it is. And then last thing have been reading is Teasing Master Tagaki-san. I got the manga because Right Stuff Anime had a sale on the manga for like $8.70 compared to like $12-13 that it's usually priced at. So I was like, well, I save a couple bucks on each volume. So I literally bought them all. I didn't expect it to arrive so soon. So I actually read the first I believe, or I read volume 2 because volume 1 was out of stock, and just how the anime and the manga is, like I know that I could start on volume 2 and like it won't really matter. But yeah, I pretty much read some of the stuff that they already adapted, but there was one story within volume 2 that they didn't adapt yet between season 1 and 2, so that was fun to read. And like I'm very much still in love with the characters of Tagaki-san and Nishikata because they're just fucking cute, and it's just very, very wholesome to read now. So yeah, I cannot wait to sort of dive into the rest of the stuff. So now let's get into Life is Strange True Colors. So they have been teasing this sort of announcement for the past like week or so that they were going to announce a brand new Life is Strange game. And my whole thing was that is this going to be developed by DeckNine or Don't Nod? And it turns out that those rumors were true. So Life is Strange True Colors was announced, and it is being developed by DeckNine. It is going to be a full game release. This is not going to be episodic. You're literally getting one game. You're literally getting one game on September 10th. And yeah, so what are your thoughts on the announcement trailer? Just like from everything that we saw with the new characters, the new sort of environment that we're going to be placed in within this Life is Strange 3, if you will.
It's basically Life is Strange 3, but I am liking this a lot more than what they were doing with 2. Obviously it's set back in like it's one single town. It looks like just a town in the middle of nowhere, which looks great. The power again is more subtle this time. You could read people's emotions, and it's like that plays a part into like how you would deal with things, and it affects your character as well. I think that's also really clever. And yeah, I think the game just looks great. I think Deck 9, I liked Before the Storm. I know some people didn't like it as much, but I honestly like Before the Storm more than Life is Strange 2. So I think the game is also in good hands with Deck 9. I think they know what they're doing with the license. My only fear is that they don't copy too much from the first game. Like, hopefully it's not basically just like, yeah, you're in a small town. It looks like it's another murder mystery type thing with your brother. Obviously, you don't know if your brother like got murdered. I mean, probably. But they went in the trailer where it's like, hey, my brother is missing or dead. I can't remember. And like I gotta go like find out what happened or whatever. So like hopefully that's not like the same thing with like what happened with like Rachel, and then that goes into like a whole thing. Hope it has like its own identity at the end. Doesn't just end up being like that as well. But right now the setup just looks a lot better than 2. Like I think 2 was a little too ambitious for what it wanted to be, and And again, the power I think was just not did not complement what the game was trying to be either. Like telekinesis just did not complement like this sort of like adventure, like walk and talk type of game, like at all.
Mm-hmm.
It also didn't help that Daniel had the power, or yeah, right? Daniel was the
Yeah,
kid. I
Daniel.
can't
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Daniel. What was the other guy's
Sean.
name? Sean, yeah, and Sean didn't have it, so it felt like it didn't really even matter. Like you were just a dude, like you know what I mean. Like, I know it was supposed to be the relationship with your brother and stuff, but I felt like it didn't really work that well. So I think having the power be a core gameplay mechanic again is going to be really nice, since that only Life is Strange 1 really had that, because Before the Storm also didn't have that because Chloe didn't have anything, and Sean again didn't have any power either. So it's going to be nice to go back to having the power completely in your control and see how that changes your decisions and like whatever else. So yeah, I'm definitely am liking this a lot more than Life is Strange 2 Harari. Just the premise and everything about it. I'm really down with it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely super looking forward to this, just because, like you said, like the premise from Life is Strange 2 is that we got to get to Mexico, which is pretty much a road trip. Every single episode and every single moment within that game was like just dedicated to them moving and constantly changing environments, and it was probably good on paper with them trying to have this sort of brotherly relationship where you are trying to teach Daniel how to control his powers, but this time around, I'm sure DeckNine saw the flaws in that and hopefully listened to some of the fans, because I know that there is a lot of people that really, really love Life is Strange 2, but they probably played it once the full game came out. And not to say that like if you played it as it was coming out, like where you had to wait like 1-2 month gaps, your opinion probably would be different, is pretty much what I'm saying. Like I'm not gonna try to beat around the bush here, but to those people that played the game fully and loved it, sure, like that is your opinion. But if you probably played it how me and Damien played it, where as it was coming out we had to wait month-long gaps for episodes, your opinion would most likely be different. Maybe not, who knows? You could just be someone else. I'm not gonna get on this high horse right now, but yeah, just how the premise is, how the setup is, the power itself, I think is very interesting. I mean, Life is Strange True Colors, emotions. I think that is very, very clever. Because when you show your true colors, you're showing your true emotions, how you're truly feeling, and that sort of power in that aspect of the game looks like is going to play into the gameplay itself in terms of how decisions are made, like whether you allow these good emotions, bad emotions take control of you, and the setup being in this like small town and sort of murder mystery of like, or just finding out what the hell happened to your brother, I think is going to be very fun, and I cannot wait to go and see who these characters are, how they act and interact with your main character. And yeah, I think that with the title of True Colors also can play with the sort of art aspect, because there are definitely a lot of colors going on here, which I am very much digging. I thought that when I was watching the trailer, the models didn't look all that great, but then again, this game is probably within early development. And going back to like DeckNine and like their sort of relationship with the Life is Strange series, Before the Storm wasn't that bad. I mean, I think that if they had one more episode, it probably would have been a lot better. But I can understand why people didn't love it as much as Life is Strange 1 or whatever. But definitely I enjoyed it more than Life is Strange 2, just because it dealt with Chloe and Rachel Amber and their relationship and all that stuff. But with DeckNine now, I guess confirming to now sort of take control of the series now, because I guess DeckNine's gonna be doing their own stuff. And yeah, I'm very much eager to go and see what they can do, just because I know that this studio, besides Life is Strange, they did the Ratchet and Clank remake
Yes,
on
they
the
did.
PlayStation 3.
Yes, they did. I won't forgive them for that.
It was kind of bad, to be honest, but they kind of redeem themselves with Before the Storm, in my opinion, and I want to see what they can do with brand new ideas, a brand new sort of slate with the Life is Strange series. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. But yeah, no, September 10th, no episodes. I think that is going to be very, very cool.
That's the biggest thing for me. The no episodes thing is like that's so good.
Yeah, and I'm curious if this is going to be like a full $60 game. It probably is.
It is. Yeah.
Okay, so that might be a hard bullet to swallow for some people, because this is a sort of interactive story-based driven game, which most of the time when they are episodic, you're paying like $25 for it and wait for the episodes to come out gradually. But now you're going to be paying the full $60 up front, which I'm assuming is to cover the cost that they're doing to make the game entirely upfront.
Right. Like this was the business model I prefer. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like, looking at this type of game, like, oh, that's not worth $60. But I'm like, it probably isn't made for everyone. You know, I think it's still pretty niche of what these games are trying to offer, being more story based, like basically not really a video game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind really paying $60 if it's like the whole thing out right now. Like honestly, I much rather prefer this than paying like $20 and then like however much the rest of the series would be when they come out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a better business model. And if there is one thing I like about David Cage, who makes Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, he always releases them like the whole game out at the same time. And I'm happy that we're not doing the episodic thing anymore. Hopefully this just means that that model is dead now and we never have to go back to it. Like I was happy when Tell Me Why was also like it was like a weekly thing. Obviously it still wasn't out at the same time, but I'm like, okay, weekly, that's fine. But now
Mm-hmm.
that it's just like a full thing is just out, I much rather prefer that. I think binging these type of things is just way better. It's more fresh on your mind. Having month-long waits, I feel like just hurts the game in general. Like obviously, I didn't think Life is Strange 2 was that great in general, but I feel like it was made even worse waiting that long for the next episode to come out as well. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
like you said, maybe you would have had a better opinion of that game if you just played it all straight out. But for us, it was pretty like just kind of just felt like a drag. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you on that. And with the whole business model of just like releasing the full thing, I think the reason why it worked back then was because of Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like that game popped off. It was so good. A lot of people loved it. It was a lot of people's game of the year when that game came out. And a lot of other studios were looking at that and were like, well, what can we do? What can we do? And when I played Life is Strange 1, I did binge all of the episodes because it was kind of old at that point. And I bought
Yeah.
it on the Steam summer sale or whatever for like $5. And I was like, why not? Let's just, see what this is all about. Literally played the full thing that entire day. And I don't regret it just because it was such a good experience and such a good game. But if I played it as it was coming out monthly, my opinion of it might have been a little different. But then again, with the amount of Life is Strange content that is out now, with the comic, sort of fleshing out Chloe and Max's character and how the entire fan base is just centered around those two characters, anyways, Life is Strange True Colors. I think that this is going to be very cool and very, very exciting. The platforms that it is coming out on is PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PS4, PlayStation 5, and Stadia, and it is coming out later this year on September 10th. So hopefully there's no delays for this one, but if there is, I wouldn't mind it entirely, but definitely very excited to see what the first full experience of a Life is Strange game has to offer, especially from a new studio.
Yep. And I guess they're also doing the Life is Strange Remaster Collection, which will
Yep.
be coming with Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm. And this actually comes with the Life is Strange True Colors Ultimate Edition, and it's also coming standalone as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know like when it's coming out. I believe it's not coming out at the same time because I looked at the PS5 sort of page because that's where I learned it was $60, and I think it said, you get access to the remaster, but I think it comes out at a different date.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm actually not too sure. I'm pretty sure this doesn't come out at the same time though.
It might
Maybe it
actually.
does. I don't
I mean,
know.
I'm on the announcement video and it says release date is September 10th. Maybe that's just
Oh, okay.
the release date because it's bundled in with the thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
actually have
yeah,
no idea.
I'm actually excited for this remake because, if you played Life is Strange 1, that shit crusty as hell.
It is.
And, the performance of that game and how that game looks and the mouth movements and all of this other stuff, that probably turned off a lot of people from actually playing and finishing that game. But me personally, like the story and the characters was just, so good and so cheesy for me that I loved it and was able to play all 5 episodes and, get the full experience of it. But I think with this remaster, I think that this one I'm actually very excited for because I think that Life is Strange 1 in particular definitely needed a remaster sort of treatment. So,
Yeah, especially with like the lip syncing was like really bad. I think in Life is Strange 1. Like I can't really remember because it's been so long. But yeah, the game definitely like shows its age. I think all the Life is Strange games honestly like always look like a generation behind. I mean, you're not really playing it for that anyway, and usually stylized enough so you don't really care. But yeah, it could take you a bit out of the experience if it does look a little too crusty. So yeah, hopefully this remaster is like fixes up and polishes up the game. It's also good for newcomers because obviously Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm are going to be pretty connected to this game, since I think two characters from Before the Storm are from Two Colors as well. Like Stev and whatever the other dude's name is, I can't remember. They
Hmm.
like play D&D with you, I think. I think that I didn't
Yeah.
even remember. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they were from Before the Storm, huh? So yeah, I mean it's probably not gonna be that necessary, but it's cool that for people that haven't experienced the first game or Before the Storm, they can now do it with this collection. I think that's a good thing, because I think Life is Strange 1 is definitely worth a playthrough.
Hmm. And going back to, I guess, these characters that are coming back from Before the Storm. I mean, this is DeckNine we're talking about here. They're like, well, let's try to reuse these characters that they made up within Before the Storm into this new one, which is gonna be very cool to see, because it is nice to see sort of the Life is Strange universe sort of interconnect with each other, despite most of the games feeling sort of separate from one another so far.
Yeah, because again, the series is more of an anthology than anything. Like I know everyone wants Max and Chloe in like another game, but I feel like
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like for some series, I think it's okay to have newer characters. It just depends on how good you make them. Like obviously, people are gonna say, "Oh, I like Max and Chloe more than like Sean and Daniel." I'm like, yeah, because Sean and Daniel weren't that good. So hopefully, hopefully this new character, I forgot her name, but this new character in True Colors is also a nice, worthy character compared to like Max and whoever. Like I guess your romantic interest is gonna be like whether the other girl or the dude. So yeah, I don't know how important they're gonna play in the story, but it's gonna be very interesting to see how that turns out as well.
Yeah, according to the description of the True Colors video, it's Alex Chen. So,
Yeah,
she is obviously Asian American. Shout out to them.
Pog.
But yeah, Alex, let's hope that she is, better than Sean and Daniel.
Yeah, I know we dunk on Life is Strange 2 a lot, and it's not like I hate it entirely. It just feels a lot weaker than the first one. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into the last part of the show, where we're going to talk about episode 1 of the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. So this is going to be full spoilers, by the way. So we are going to spoil everything within this first episode. So yeah, if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, you can leave the podcast now and come back later, or not. It's up to you. So let's talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 1. So this was a 49-minute episode, which is
Yeah,
kind of crazy. Going back from WandaVision, which had varying I guess lengths, just because of
yeah.
how the show was structured and all of the other stuff. And since that episode, I think that a lot of people have come out and pretty much said that WandaVision was meh, just because of how it ended, which I can somewhat agree with to a certain extent, because I definitely felt like the last episode left some to be desired, not because my theories weren't true, but just because the last episode felt very much like MCU-y with like the whole fight sequences and all this other stuff. But the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1, I think, was a very strong start, if I can say that.
Yeah, I also agree. I really liked this episode. I almost felt like I was watching like a movie. Like when the episode like ended, I'm like, wait, where's the rest of the movie? It really does feel like a really good follow up to Civil War, I guess, as the next Captain America, like sort of like epilogue, I guess you could call it, like a good
Hmm.
like fourth movie for the Captain America series. And it really did what it accomplished. You know what I mean? Like if we wanted
Yeah.
more like an ending to Captain America, and I think it did it is doing it really well. I mean, obviously it's not, it just started, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that this is a very strong start. I like that the first, I guess, sequence that we had was, goddamn Falcon. He's like getting
Hmm.
ready to do his, I guess, job. And, he's looking at the shield. And obviously, like, I was going through social media before the show came out, and very much what Anthony Mackie was saying was that like he hasn't accepted the shield yet, which is what a lot of people thought that he did at the end of Endgame, but he didn't accept the shield because he said that it feels like it belonged to someone else, which he reiterates a couple of times throughout this first episode. And that is pretty much, I guess, the main conflict of this show is him trying to, I guess, maybe most likely accept the shield for what it is,
Yeah.
because he pretty much hands it away to the museum before at the end it was like, we got a new Captain America, and it's just another white guy that we have no idea who the hell this guy is. But yeah, I definitely liked the first action sequence where we get to see pretty much set up what this show's probably going to be. Mostly is action compared to WandaVision. And yeah, it was pretty good action. Do you have anything else to say about, I guess, the Falcon so far before we get into the Winter Soldier stuff?
Yeah, I mean, again, I thought the action scene in the beginning was like really good. Like, it straight up could just like, if you told me that was a clip from one of the movies, I would have believed you because of how
Mm-hmm.
like how good it looked. I'm like, it's just a really good action scene with him flying around and stuff, and it's good to see him actually do things since he doesn't really do a whole lot in the movie. I mean, you could say that with all the characters so far gained the movies. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, gained the TV shows, which is great. Because I think Vision and Wanda also needed more character development. Same thing with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, now getting more character development in this show. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously we go through what he's dealing with the whole Captain America thing, and if he wants to accept the shield or not. Which obviously he's probably gonna accept it at the end of the show. He's probably gonna be the new Captain America and like take it from this fake Captain America guy. So that's probably what's gonna end up happening. But it's also nice to see him sort of see his own family life. You know what I mean, with his like
Yes.
sister and stuff, with all the kids, and like how he has to like help her with the boat and like
Mm-hmm.
get her business up and running. And again, I really like how they explain how the blip was such a, or I guess the snap was such a horrible thing, and then go into how everyone just reappeared again, and like how that could cause a lot of issues within like the economy and stuff like that. Like just him talking to the accountant guy or the loan
Oh my
guy
God, bro.
was so like realistic because like but what I researched this thing and like I should be able to get this loan, but like was like nah, that was like 5 years ago, but now everyone shows up and it's like I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, that's so realistic, dude. Like they would change the rules just because everyone comes back and like wants loans and shit. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very good, and like how it shows that the world is like a very different place since the snapping happened and since the blip happened as well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it's just really neat to see how it affects all the civilians, and also how like heroes don't really make a lot of money. I guess like Falcon's kind of just like living like but he's not living good or anything. Like you can't just like throw a bunch of money at his sister. I know his sister also doesn't really want the money. Like she wants to do it herself, which is
Mm-hmm.
respectable. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting how to go into these smaller details you probably wouldn't get in the movie just because it might feel like they're dragging the movie too much. But I feel like since you have more time in the show, you could really show all these more little interactions, and I really like that since it makes the hero feel a lot more fleshed out. And I think Falcon really needed that as well since he's always been kind of a lesser hero in the MCU, not because he's like bad or anything, just because the bigger heroes always take the spotlight.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the family time that we got to see for the Falcon, and
Yeah.
definitely that scene within the bank. I was like, man, this guy's fucking cringe. Oh my God.
Yeah. Can I take a selfie, dude?
Can I take a selfie with like your arms out? I was like, you did not just ask him that. Like after you pretty much like, or right before he like pretty much shut down the loan entirely because
Yeah.
before he was kind of like beating around the bush with it, but like
Yeah.
my boy was like, hey man, I'm the Falcon. Like come on, and it is kind
Come
of
on.
weird. It is kind of weird that like they don't make a lot of money, but like the main, I guess, guy from the Avengers was like Iron Man. Like, was this guy not paying them? Like, what the fuck's
Yeah, I
going
was
on
gonna
here?
say like what did Tony Stark not throw them like a couple like 100 grand or something? Like, come on.
Yeah, it just like that just seemed kind of weird. But politics and probably some other stuff that they're gonna dive into with this show. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed how they set up the Falcon and sort of set up his situation and sort of try to accept the shield because during that speech he was like like this belongs to someone else, and he puts it in that case and he has that conversation with Rhodes and he was like like this it just doesn't feel like it belongs to him despite Captain America himself saying that it does. So yeah, that's definitely going to be the main conflict and probably how the show's going to progress for his character anyways. But yeah, I'm very much liking how they set up his character because like you said, these shows are giving these lesser characters more spotlight, and probably by the end of it we're probably going to like these characters a hell of a lot more. And Winter Soldier, his segments for this show so far I really liked. They're more funny than Falcons, I felt, which is a good thing
Yeah.
because I always thought that the Winter Soldier, despite him being so serious, he always has like the funny moments in the movies, especially within Civil War.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely like the whole dream sequence at first because I was like, how does this play into him right now? And obviously, like at first I was like, oh okay, like it's just a nightmare, and then it turns out that it ties into the old guy that like he's friends with.
Yeah.
I was like, no fucking way, like no, it can't tie like this, like no, it can't.
That's what I thought too. I'm like, oh no, oh, God.
Yeah, like I was like floored by that. I was like, god damn, it really like does tie in like that, which is tragic and sad. And then like that whole sequence with like the shrink where he's like, I'm not having nightmares, and she's like, I know you're lying. I was like, that
Yeah.
shit's funny. Like my man's, still beating around the bush with it. He doesn't want to tell her everything, which I'm sure is like how some people go to therapy, like maybe that's how some people go to therapy about it, where like they don't want to necessarily tell them everything, but they want to get some stuff off of their chest or whatever. Obviously I've never been to therapy, so this could obviously be my ignorance about it. But him sort of describing that sequence with him sort of making amends with like one of the Hydra women that like he like brought up, like that sequence was funny because I was just like, man, like he's really like fucking around with her here, huh? Like but what are your thoughts on, I guess, those sort of sequences I talked about so far?
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. I think it's also a good way to like sort of show growth in Bucky over here, like like him like sort of making amends with all the like the problem. Again, it's not really his fault because he was like a sleeper agent for Hydra, so like he wasn't really in control. Like obviously he like remembers them, like these moments, like he did these awful things, but like again, not really his fault. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see him go through like this journey to sort of like make amends with all the wrongs he's made, and obviously I don't know if I don't know if this is gonna be resolved like at the end of the series. Maybe him telling the old man that he killed his son, because I feel like that might be like he's gonna go through this whole adventure with Falcon, and then probably at the end he's probably gonna tell him like, hey, I did this, I'm so sorry. So I think that's how his arc is sort of gonna end with, like that's probably gonna be the last thing he kind of crosses off the list there, and just seeing him try to just integrate himself into society is also really neat. Since we also saw Captain America sort of went through a similar process where he was kind of just like a fish out of water. Like Bucky's so old from like the freaking 40s, like he doesn't know what to do or like how to socialize or whatever. He always, and unlike Captain America, he has a bunch of PTSD from with like the Hydra stuff. So it's very interesting to see him try to get closer to people, whether that be with like his like date or whatever. I don't know if she's gonna come back, or obviously he's gonna be with Falcon. He's probably gonna be more buddy and like probably get closer with him and stuff as well. So again, I think that character development is also really nice. I think Winter Soldier obviously gets a little more spotlight than Falcon, and we've seen him done a lot more things. And obviously his relationship with Captain America has been a pretty big a pretty big thing in the movies. So it's not like he's never gotten character development, but I think this is gonna be a good way to sort of like cap off his character and stuff like that, and be like, yeah, he's finally coming to terms with who he is as a person and how he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. He's himself now. So I also thought that was also really done really well. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When that whole like bar sequence and the old guy was like, yeah, he wants to ask you out on a date. I was like, don't fucking do this, bro. Don't do this. And then she was like, I'm game. I was like, oh shit.
It was like, yo, it worked.
It actually worked. And then he showed up with very old fashioned, brought flowers and all that shit. And she was asking him questions, trying to get to know him. He was like, I'm 109. I was like, fucking damn, like Jesus. But that's just his actual age and shit. So, but yeah, I'm very much enjoying this show, and I think that just by watching this first episode, I think that I have now realized that I just love the Winter Soldier. I just love his character, and I love that the way that he's been brought into the MCU, and the way that he was talking about before, he I guess got snapped and all of the stuff happened with Thanos. He was just chilling in fucking Wakanda. My man's just chilling, and like he talked about going from fight to fight to fight, and then he was just chilling there, and now he technically doesn't have to fight anymore, but obviously like he's still having these nightmares, and he's still trying to find, I guess, peace within himself. And the shrink was like, that's bullshit or whatever. You could definitely tell like when they were interacting with each other, like they've obviously been doing it for a long time. And I'm just curious if we're going to see more scenes with them. Probably one more, just because I really did like that sequence. I thought that it was just really funny and really, really enjoyable. So, but yeah, so far so good with episode 1. I cannot wait to, continue watching another Marvel show week to week, because I think that this one I'm definitely going to get a lot more enjoyment out of it. Not because WandaVision wasn't good, but just because I already sort of liked these characters before watching the show.
Right. I mean, I think these characters are probably because it got more screen time, like especially Winter Soldier, and I think the Falcon is just kind of just easy. Like, he's just likable, so it probably just makes the show a little more like approachable. Also, just how it is, like it's more of an action show. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. WandaVision was more of a like you didn't really know what was going on, and more of a mystery type thing. So yeah, I think this one's probably gonna end up being the favorite out of the two. I mean, I still really liked WandaVision, but I think this one's just easier to like at this point. Especially because I really like the Captain America movies, so I think this one's also going to just be an easy one to like recommend to people. Well, if you watch the rest of the MCU stuff, but I think even on its own, it's pretty fun to watch. So.
Yeah, and one thing I want to bring up before we, I guess, end this discussion was the character Torres, the way that he's playing into the Falcon story. I think that, having the Falcon paired up with someone for right now before they, get together with the Winter Soldier is good, and, sort of set up with all of the other stuff that's going on within their respective stories and how they're probably going to interconnect and, become the Falcon and Winter Soldier, if you will. So yeah, so far, Torres he's a very fun character. He's he's like asking these questions and all of this other stuff, like when they were interacting after the mission, I guess, I thought that was a very fun scene for them. And, when he went when he went, I guess, undercover and sort of did that whole stunt, I was like, this guy's a fucking idiot. But, he
I feel like he's going to die, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to say that, but, he could get himself into more trouble, but we just have to wait and see. So, yeah, so far so good with the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it right now, and I again can't wait for a new episode every Friday. It's gonna be some good stuff.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to say, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis Damian Podcast. Once again, we will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.